A Jelly and Snow Snorting DVD and Blu-ray update, take one. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Hello and welcome to another DVD and Blu-ray update. The first one of this year, believe it or not. Yeah, I know it's like close to the middle of March now, and yeah, I was just trying to build up a big enough pile, for the following updates. I've been trying to stick to my rules, and I think I've been partially successful. But at the moment, I've got 15 titles in total. So, without any further ado, let's get started. Most of these are Blu-rays, and pretty much all of these are Blu-rays. There's only one DVD, and I'll show you that DVD first. That is Peter Jackson's Heavenly Creatures. Peter Jackson, I've not seen Lord of the Rings. I'm just going to put that out there. I've not seen Lord of the Rings yet. I've seen pretty much all his pre-Lord of the Rings films. This one is his first sort of proper, sort of serious film, because prior he did, the trash trilogy, so Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles and Brain Dead. This is kind of the polar opposite to those films. It's quite, dramatic. There's not really any comedy in it. There's very, very little gore, if any gore. I think this is the film where Peter Jackson sort of grew up as a director. But yeah, this film was based on the Parker Hume murders, which happened in the 1950s in New Zealand. And it's sort of like I believe it is quite a well-known case in New Zealand, but I don't think it's that well-known outside New Zealand. Indeed, I'd never heard of the case until, I came across this film. This film doesn't sensationalise it in any way, shape or form at all. It's done very respectfully, although I think that can also be a downside because it makes the characters, the two killers, a bit too sympathetic, especially for what they did. You shouldn't be sympathising with them, but, this film, it sort of makes you sympathise with them. But yeah, other than that, it's a very good film. I prefer is more horror stuff. I preferred Bad Taste, Brain Dead and The Frighteners. It's better than Meet the Feebles. Meet the Feebles is interesting. The first time I saw that film, I absolutely hated it. And then the second time I saw it, while it definitely does fall very flat, I did enjoy it a lot more on rewatch. But yeah. Anyway, here's the disc. Now moving on to the Blu-rays, and the first Blu-ray is Deliverance. Of course, an absolutely classic film, done by John Boorman, who notoriously sort of after this film did films like Zardoz and Exorcist 2. But yeah, this is a very good film. I think it's a tiny bit overrated. I don't think it's as good as a lot of people make it out to be, but it's still a very good film. Of course, things like the Julian Bando scene are great. Quite a hard film to watch at times. I think this came out in 1972, so this was sort of that during that period, sort of the new Hollywood, when they were trying to push buttons as to what they could get away with. But yeah, there's the disc. Next one is an incredibly bizarre film, and that is Better Off Dead. I first heard about this film back in December because a friend of mine showed it to me on a watch party and absolutely loved it. on the surface it looks like just your standard like 80s teen comedy, sort of a bit like, I don't know, something John Hughes would have done. But name me please another 80s teen comedy with weird animations, a psychotic boy, Van Halen singing cheeseburgers, and Curtis Armstrong snorting jelly and snow. Can you think of any other movie like that? Yeah, I love this film. It's batshit crazy. You know, you're mostly just going to be either laughing or going, what the fuck, if you give this movie a go. But I love it. It's insane. I think this Blu-ray's out of print. It's been out of print for some time, although bizarrely, like, it turned up on HMV, and so I ordered it from them. I don't know if it's still on HMV. Have a look. You know, but if it's still on there, then pick it up while you can. You know, because it's great. It's bizarre as hell and brilliant for it. Anyway, here's the disc. The next two films are a couple of films directed by Paul Verhoeven, who did RoboCop. I've been wanting to watch some more Paul Verhoeven films for a while, but kind of never got around to it. And kind of with his films, I don't want to watch all his films because, like, he's known for like two types of films. Really sort of you know, satirical sci-fi films and erotic thrillers. But yeah, I picked up two other films, and these are his sci-fi ones. First one is Arnold Schwarzenegger in Total Recall. So yeah, this one kind of has a similar feeling to RoboCop, except it's not really that satirical. But this is a fantastic film. Probably my favourite Schwarzenegger film. It's great as both, you know, like an action film, and also it kind of makes you think. Like, the story is just fantastic. Really quite original concept, and it really kind of makes you think. Like, is all this stuff like actually happening, or is it all in Arnold Schwarzenegger's mind? You know, it's definitely great. This is the remastered edition, which has a lot more extras. I don't know if there's a difference between transfers between this and the old Blu-ray. But yeah, here are the discs. One disc, that's the film disc, and that's the bonus disc. For some reason in Ireland, the bonus disc is a 15, and the film is an 18, and well, both discs are 18 in the UK. And so we just have a leaflet for Studio Canal's newsletter. I think they said streaming service. It's not streaming service. It's a newsletter. But yeah, great film. This great thought-provoking film. Definitely recommend it. And now we get to a film which I kind of struggle to recommend. I know this film definitely has its fans, but I'm not one of them. I might need to give it another go. That is Starship Troopers. This is a collaboration between Paul Verhoeven and Ed Neumeyer, who did RoboCop, and it sort of has a similar feeling to RoboCop in terms of it being a satire, but it's just not a particularly good film. To be honest with you, it kind of came out around about the same time as like Independence Day and stuff like that. Basically, a lot of the who directed Independence Day? Roland Emmerich. It kind of has the feeling of one of his films, and you know, Independence Day, Day After Tomorrow. It was based on a novel, and it's very different to the novel because I believe, I'm not sure if the book was supposed to be satirical or was supposed to be played straight, but I believe Paul Verhoeven read it, kind of got depressed and didn't agree with its politics at all, so he basically made it into a satire. As a satire of like, you know, it kind of has the satirical feel of something like you know, like a propaganda film sort of. It's spot on as a satire. You know, the fake news broadcasts are brilliant, and they almost rival RoboCop's sort of fake commercials. In fact, I think these are better than Robocop's fake commercials. But the problem with it is it's just not a particularly good film. Like if you strip away all the satire and if you take it at face value, obviously like the characters are largely unlikable, you know, and that's kind of the whole point. But it's just kind of the story with them just isn't that intriguing, and I, to be honest, got quite bored like during like the second half. Kind of with like RoboCop, it was a very good movie to start with, but the satire made it into a great movie. This is kind of a mediocre movie that was made decent because of the satire. I might need to watch it again. You know, maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. It has its fans for sure. But yeah. Yep, and here's the disc. It's bland and blue because this was part by Disney, so of course it's cheap. Maximum high def experience, so you can tell this is kind of an older title. Now I move on to a film which I absolutely love. I'm on Letterboxd, so the link to my Letterboxd is in my channel description, so you can find me there. My top 4 on Letterboxd never really changed that much since I joined the site. You know, it's very rare I change it. I know a lot of people change their top 4s quite a lot. I don't. I tend to keep it consistent, but this film actually made me change my top 4 because I loved it that much. And that is Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands. I don't rave about Tim Burton the way a lot of other people do. I think when I was younger, I used to be like into Tim Burton films, but kind of when I got older, when I got more into film, I kind of forgot Tim Burton existed. He kind of like went into the background, and some of his films can be kind of hit and miss. Because I mean, like I don't like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or his remake of Alice in Wonderland. But you know, he has done a lot of great films as well. Batman, Beetlejuice, Sweeney Todd, and this is my favourite Tim Burton film, and I love it. Basically, like all the elements work perfectly fine, and you know, the story is both it's original and it's just kind of great, gripping, heartwarming, and kind of depressing as well. But yeah, I love this film so much. I can't recommend it enough. Here's the disc. It's a Fox title, but it's a more recent Fox title, so they're blue because fucking Disney. And the next Blu-ray is a Stanley Kubrick film. I've nearly got every Kubrick film now. I've seen them all. That is Spartacus. A lot of people don't realise this is a Kubrick film. And I don't really consider it a Kubrick film. It's a Kubrick film in name only, because he was a hired-on director, and you know he had to like take orders from Kirk Douglas and stuff. You know, he absolutely hated it. So kind of after this, so I believe he disowned it, and basically like after this film, basically like he basically had full creative control over all his films. Which I mean, it's actually quite daring, you know, for a film like this, you know, to disown it because like certain other directors, you know, would probably kill, you know, to have a film like this in their catalogue. Whereas Kubrick, like, I mean, he's got so many great films, you know, to fall back on. But yeah, I'm not like the historical epics, you know, like Ben-Hur, Lawrence of Arabia, Ten Commandments. They're kind of a hard sell for me. I've not seen that many. They're the type of films I probably would enjoy if I gave them a go, but you know, just kind of you need to find the time to, and I don't really have the motivation. A bit like Lord of the Rings. But yeah, this is a very, very good film. A lot better than I was expecting it to be. It's 3 hours long. It's like well over 3 hours. It's like 3 hours 20 or something, but it definitely didn't feel like that. It definitely flew by. But yeah, this is the one in the iconic moments slipcover. We decide our fates. I don't know why they chose that quote and not "I'm Spartacus," which is arguably the most iconic quote from the film. But yeah, I think as a Kubrick film, it definitely kind of falls flat when compared to his other films because it doesn't really have that feeling, that it's not like really like got the deep themes that you'd expect from a Kubrick film, but it does kind of have that theme of like kind of oppression and commitment, sort of the the balancing act. But yeah, as a film on its own, this is fantastic. Extended version with 12 additional minutes, and it also has deleted scenes, which is genuinely quite rare. Which is genuinely quite rare for a Kubrick film, because Kubrick was never one for deleted scenes. In fact, I believe it was written in his will that any deleted scenes from his films get destroyed. So that's why you'll probably never see like the original hospital ending for The Shining or the pie fight ending of Doctor Strangelove. And even when footage from his films does get found, like the 17 or so minutes of footage from 2001, you're more than likely never ever going to see that footage again. But yeah, here's the disc. Somehow they were able to fit an entire like 3.5 hour movie plus like quite a few extras on a single disc. I believe the DVD version, the film was split across 2 discs. The next one is a Chris Morris film. I absolutely love Chris Morris. The Day to Day, Brass Eye, that type of stuff. That is Four Lions. I had a friend in college a couple of years ago who couldn't recommend this film enough and was basically bugging the hell out of me to watch it. If you're watching this, which I very much doubt you are, you know who you are, and yes, I have finally watched it. I'd been wanting to watch it for a while anyway. But yeah, as you can tell, like very, very minimal. There's no like descriptions or anything. There's the bare minimum, on this cover, and probably for a good reason. But yeah, this is definitely a very, very, very good film. Kind of very funny, but it's not like laugh per minute funny. There's like it can be dramatic at points. It's a film you'd probably never ever get away with today. In fact, arguably you'd never ever get away with this full stop, no matter the time period, because it's basically a film about 4 incompetent terrorists. It's a film like this could go hideously wrong if like left in the wrong hands, but Chris Morris managed to make it work. I think Chris Morris is sort of one of the few like satirists, comedians who could probably pull something like this off. Because I think most directors, even most like satirists, wouldn't want to touch this subject with a barge pole. But Chris Morris did it, and he got a great film out of it. And also, it kind of proves that no idea is a stupid idea; it's just execution. And this film is a prime example of that. I think probably because I believe it was quite controversial, kind of at the time. So I think like they left like a lot of the descriptions off the cover, and that it's the bare minimum. Because all you get is a barcode, the runtime, the ratings and stuff. This one is the sort of the card packaging. There was in HMV they also had one in a standard Amaray, and I kind of wish I'd gone with the Amaray one because I thought this was like a digibook, and it's not. Here's the disc. It's got slips in there, a bit like the Hitchcock set, although unlike the Hitchcock set, for starters it's cut a bit lower, and it's made of like a smoother material, so the disc won't get scratched. And yeah, the disc like Can't see it properly, but the disc is perfectly fine. There's not a single scratch on it. So yeah, that is 4 Lions. Okay, so the next 2 are box sets, and both Sylvester Stallone themed, and probably 2 of his most iconic characters, and 2 of his most iconic franchises. So we'll get started with the first one, and it is the Rambo collection. This includes the first 4 Rambo films, so it contains First Blood, Rambo First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3 and Rambo. It doesn't have Last Blood. I've not seen Last Blood yet. I've heard quite polarising things about it. I've heard... Actually, no, I've not heard polarising things about it. I've heard pretty bad things about it. If you've seen... No, it's not called John Rambo. Last Blood, then tell me what you thought of it. Yeah, this came out before Last Blood, when there were only 4. But yeah. Here's the disc. So we have First Blood, or as it's referred to on the disc, Rambo First Blood. A fantastic film. Very, very different, to the other Rambo films. It's sort of basically about this Vietnam vet who basically comes to this town, and he's got PTSD, and he's treated dreadfully by the police. It's a fantastic film. It's a very, very dark film, but it's very, very good. I can't recommend First Blood enough. In fact, I don't think it's dated at all. It kind of feels sort of just as relevant today as it did back in 1982. Rambo First Blood Part 2, which kind of changes the tone, which, to be honest, did annoy me a little bit. It kind of changes its direction. It goes from this pretty serious sort of film, to this really very, very goofy action film. As an action film, it's really enjoyable, but I just kind of couldn't get past the fact that it's essentially just the military and stuff, getting Rambo to go back to Vietnam and stuff. Now, I can't remember if he went to Vietnam in First Blood Part 2, but basically being the killing machine again. It just doesn't make any sense. It's so bizarre. But I do really enjoy First Blood Part 2. Rambo 3, which is probably my least favourite. It's not awful. It's far from awful, but it's not great either. This one is 18. I believe in the UK, Rambo 2 was blamed on the Hungerford massacre. It was kind of erroneously linked because, it's the media. They will always blame entertainment, even when it's blatantly obvious entertainment wasn't the cause. So I believe when this came out in the cinemas and on VHS, it was a very, very, very heavily cut. This one is completely uncut. Even the horse tripping over the tripwire bit, that bit's intact in this version. There's some conflicting reports whether or not that bit's removed or it's intact. It's very much intact on here anyway. And then finally, Rambo, or John Rambo. Yes, James Roth predicted the future. Because if you can remember that chronologically confused video where he made a joke because the 6th Rocky film was called Rocky Balboa. He made a joke what if they called the next Rambo film John Rambo? And they were actually seriously considering calling it John Rambo. In fact, I believe in some countries it's still called John Rambo, but in most countries it's just called Rambo, or I just call it Rambo 4 or Rambo 2008. It's a lot easier. But yeah, this is my second favourite of the sequels. Probably my favourite of the sequels rather, and my second favourite Rambo film, obviously behind First Blood. It's very different to... It kind of feels like a mix between First Blood and First Blood Part 2, where it's very much an action film, you know. But it's quite dark, it's very bleak, it's also very violent. I mean, it definitely earns its 18 rating. But yeah, it's a very good film. Rambo 4 or Rambo or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And of course, you can't have Rambo without Rocky. I've been wanting to buy the Rocky films for a very long time. I just kind of never got around to it. I think either because either the price was out of my range, or I don't know, other stuff took my fancy. I saw all 6 of them a couple of years ago, and I thought they were great. You know, I've been wanting to add them to the collection for many years. I'll tell you how long. I've been wanting to add this to the collection even before I started this YouTube channel. So, and it's just now when I finally got around to buying them. But yeah. This includes all 6 Rambo films. No, not 6 Rambo films, 6 Rocky films, sorry. Idiot me. I don't know why they're just so confusing name-wise. But yeah, each film gets its own case. So here we have the first Rocky, which is absolutely fantastic and absolutely brilliant. It deserved the Best Picture. Definitely sort of a... This is kind of like what Rocky sort of should have been, you know, kind of like the underdog sort of stuff, quite simple, but you know, really good as like a feel-good film. This is the remastered edition of the first Rocky. I believe there was an earlier Rocky set which had a bonus disc. This doesn't have the bonus disc, but this is the remastered version of Rocky, which is good because I've heard the original Blu-ray was absolutely shocking. This one has a crap ton of extras. Definitely makes up for the previous release by far, which didn't have any. But yeah, here's the disc. On the downside though, I had to buy new cases for this set because this set came with those bloody eco boxes, you know, the ones where they cut shit out of them. They're horrible eco boxes. I don't know why they use them. You know, because I mean, is it supposed to be like trying to save the environment? In that case, it doesn't work because most people just throw them away anyway and buy proper cases. I put the eco boxes away, and I can't be bothered getting them out. But yeah, but proper cases. These are proper nice firm. They are made by the same company, Viva, and they're the Elite brand cases. Annoyingly, I had to kind of look elsewhere for these cases because these are not the standard size. These are, I believe, 12.5mm. They're not the standard 14mm ones, which are normal on UK Blu-rays. Because this is a 14mm one, so it's about the same thickness as a DVD case. But yeah, there's the first Rocky. Rocky 2. It's not as good as the first one, but it's still pretty enjoyable. It kind of feels a bit the same from like last time I saw it. It kind of feels a bit like the same film, you know, from the first one. But saying that, you know, it's still pretty good. This was the first one directed by Sylvester Stallone, because Stallone wrote all the Rocky films and he directed most of them. The only ones that he didn't direct were the first one and the 5th one. But yeah. This one, of course, there's no extras on it, which is a shame, really. Rocky 3, which is good fun. It's kind of during that period when the franchise started to get a bit more like silly, a bit more ridiculous. Because like this is the film where Rocky fights Mr. T and Hulk Hogan. That kind of tells you a lot about it, basically. But yeah, I mean it's enjoyable. Rocky 3, what it is the disc. Oh boy, Rocky 4. This one has its fans, but I'm not really one of them. It's enjoyable, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. This is the theatrical cut. There's like this director's cut out there, which doesn't include Paulie's robot. Why? I mean, you can't have Rocky 4 without Paulie's robot. But yeah. Here's the disc. Rocky 5. Oh dear. Considered by many to be the worst Rocky film. It's definitely my least favourite, but I don't dislike it the way a lot of other people do. I thought it was okay. I need to watch it again. It's sort of the return to basics. There's no boxing match. The fight pretty much takes place on the streets. It's sort of them trying to return to basics, but the execution kind of lets it down. This one was directed by John G. Avildsen, who did the original Rocky, because pretty much all the other sequels were done by Sylvester Stallone. And John G. Avildsen, he always seems to struggle with sequels. I mean, he does a lot of great first films, but he always struggles with the follow-ups. Because I kind of felt that way about the Karate Kid films as well, because he did the first three. First Karate Kid film was brilliant. Second Karate Kid film was and Karate Kid 3 was complete shit. In fact, I genuinely thought the next Karate Kid was an improvement on the sequels. Yes, I know. Shoot me if you wanna. Here's the disc. And then the final one, Rocky Balboa, which came out about 16 years after Rocky 5. And yes, that is the title, Rocky Balboa. It's really stupid the fact that they called it that. Why didn't they call it Rocky 6? But yeah, this is probably my favourite of the sequels, and my second favourite after the first one, of course. I mean, kind of the highlight for me is definitely the boxing match, which kind of looks like an actual pay-per-view boxing match. I'm not the biggest fan of sports and boxing. I mean, I can understand participating in a sport, but I don't really see the appeal of actually watching sporting events. But yeah, these are great films. And anyway, there's Rocky Balboa. And then finally, I took advantage of one of HMV's many promo codes, and I got 50% off all 5 seasons of Rick and Morty. I fucking love Rick and Morty. It's a great show, sort of like a spiritual successor to Futurama to some degree. It's a great show if you pretend the fan base doesn't exist, because honestly the fan base are probably some of the most annoying people known to man. Seriously, I can't stand most Rick and Morty fans. Thankfully, kind of the Rick and Morty, the yelling on Pickle Rick or dub in public and killing each other over Szechuan sauce, kind of that stuff's kind of died down. But yeah, got into Rick and Morty a couple of years ago, and I'd been putting off buying it on physical media, usually because they usually do cost quite a bit, each season, which, considering the contents you get on the discs, it's a bit much, but I got these 50% off, so, it was a lot more affordable and a lot more reasonably priced. But yeah, here we have season 1, which it took a while for any Rick and Morty to get released on physical media in this country, because the show started in 2013, and I believe it was 2018 when the first season was finally released on Blu-ray in this country. I'd seen these on Netflix prior, but yeah, season 1, what a fantastic season! One of my favourite sort of first seasons of any TV show. I love it. But yeah, here's the disc. It's bland and blue because this is a reprint and Warner Brothers are cheap. And here's the episode guide, which I had to print off per episode per season, because normally they didn't include one. But yeah, this is a great season, great jumping off point. It is very much an establishing season, but a lot of the stories here are just fantastic. Great, like sci-fi concepts and great comedy stuff as well. And also kind of the A and B plots sort of they don't like clash with each other. They don't ruin anything. And honestly, I can't think of a single bad episode from the first season. There's a lot of great ones. Lawnmower Dog, that's fantastic. M. Night Shyamalan's Me Seeks and Destroy. Rick's D-Minute, Rick Potion number 9. Rick's Business. There's a lot of great episodes in the first season. In fact, I probably would say season 1 is my favourite, which is kind of a bit shocking to some people, but I genuinely do think season 1 is my favourite season. Season 2, which is another fantastic season. Cover from the Total Recall episode, which is, I don't know if it is my favourite episode, but it's one of my favourites. It's up there for sure. Considered by many to be the best episode for a reason. Is the disc. They're all blue. There's not really that much difference between them. Is the inside with the episode guide. There's also a lot of really great episodes in here. Wrinkle in Time, Total Recall, of course, Get Thrifty, Big Trouble in Little Sanchez, Look Who's Purging Now, Wedding Squanchers. There's a lot of great episodes in here. Season 3, which is considered by many fans to be kind of the season when the show started to go downhill, and I sort of agree, but at the same time I do really enjoy season 3, for what it is, as a piece of television on its own. Of course, it's the Pickle Rick cover, which it was funny in the episode, but it kind of got old when people were running around in pickle suits yelling, "I'm Pickle Rick!" It got really annoying really fast. I think I definitely agree with a lot of people. Yeah. And also, I don't really like the choice of colours, because the season 3 and the Blu-ray logo and the specs are black, but it's on dark green, so it's easier to read in this on the camera than it is to the naked eye. I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they couldn't have it all white, to make out what the hell is written. But yeah, there's the disc and there's the episode guide. There's a lot of really good episodes in here. Rick Shank Redemption, The Whirly Durly Conspiracy, Rest and Relaxation. Which, yes, you're gonna have to get used to those titles, those punny titles, because honestly, the puns in the titles just get shitter and shitter as the show continues. Morty's Mind Blowers, that's another good one. Tales from the Citadel, and even Pickle Rick, which, even if that episode kind of spells its moral out to the viewer like fucking idiots, yeah, we get the moral, you don't need to spell it out to us. Season 4, which is probably the season where the show genuinely started to lose me, because kind of the episodes were becoming a bit forced and there weren't that many great episodes. And again, terrible choice in colour. Why not have it black? It's really hard to make out the text. Yeah, and surprisingly, despite the fact that I know I had seen season 4 prior, I could barely remember a single episode from it, which I don't know if that kind of tells you about the episode quality or not, because I was able to remember most of the first 3 seasons. But saying that, there's still some pretty good episodes in here. Run Career with the Cuckoo's Nest, that one, which despite its title is not a parody of Run Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, that's a parody of heist films. Rattlestar Eclectica, that's one I definitely enjoy. Prometheus, whatever the hell it's called, that's another good one. And the Battle of Acid episode as well, that's a really creative episode. Season 5, which is the first time I've ever actually saw season 5 was on this Blu-ray, because I missed it when it was on TV, which I regret. But this is considered by many fans to be the worst season. I sort of agree, but I kind of have a similar opinion to season 4, where it's kind of the same quality of stories as season 4, but I think this one's kind of a bit weaker than season 4. I think the show is definitely going downhill, and I don't know what's to expect when season 6 comes along. I mean, it's kind of not great for a show to be going downhill this quickly, because most TV shows tend to hit their prime by their 5th season, but this Rick and Morty kind of hasn't. It's prime within its first 2 seasons. But yeah, here's the disc, and here's the inside with the episodes, which there's also a lot of great episodes in here. And Morty can graffiti Rick. What the fuck? Thanksgiving episode, that one's a good one. The last two episodes, Forgetting Shriek, Mortshell and Rick Mariah Jack, they're both pretty good. But at the same time, you have an episode like Rick Dependence Prey, which is essentially just about, I don't know, Morty's sperm, mutating and, growing massive and becoming evil and stuff. I mean, what the fuck? As somebody like me who likes Beavis and Butthead, it's just who likes some immature stuff like Beavis and Butthead and Jackass. I'm just like, come on. Oh, fucking Christ. But saying that, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. I've seen worse, on television. I'd rather watch that episode over any episode of The Sopranos any day. So, yeah, that was my 3 months update. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time. So long for now.